In 1944, a man finished writing a book. He sent it to many publishers, but they all said no. Not because it was badly written, but because it was too dangerous. The government quietly told publishers not to print it. One publisher agreed, then changed his mind after a phone call from a government department. When it finally came out, the Soviet Union banned it, Cuba banned it, China banned it, the UAE banned it, but for a completely different reason that I will get to in a minute. And the CIA secretly bought the rights, changed the ending, and used it as a weapon. Multiple governments, opposite side of history, all terrified of the same book. The book is less than 100 pages. It's about a farm with pigs. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why everyone in power was so scared of it. And more importantly, why it describes your life right now more than any news channel ever will. Animal Farm by George Orwell, less than 100 pages, 2 hours to read, and it will change how you see politics forever. A farm, animals doing all the work. A farmer called Mr. Jones, doing absolutely none of it. Just drinking, sleeping, and collecting the money. Classic. The animals are exhausted, hungry, working their whole lives for someone who doesn't care if they live or die. Until one night, the oldest, wisest pig on the farm calls a meeting, Old Major, and he gives them a speech that changes everything. He says, look at your lives. You work until you break. Everything you produce goes to the humans. You get the bare minimum to keep you alive, enough to keep working. Is this natural? No. The enemy is man. Remove man, and everything is yours. The animals go crazy. For the first time, someone said out loud exactly what they all felt but couldn't express. 3 days later, Old Major dies peacefully in his sleep. Very convenient because he never has to deal with what comes next. Before the story goes further, meet the characters, because every single one of them is someone you already know in real life. Napoleon, the main pig. Not the smartest, but the most ruthless. He doesn't debate or argue, he just quietly builds power and moves when the moment is right. In politics, ruthless beats smart almost every time. Snowball, the brilliant pig, full of ideas, plans, vision. The kind of leader people actually like, which is exactly why Napoleon can't let him stay. Squealer, Napoleon's spokesman. Small, fast, convincing. He can make any failure sound like victory, any injustice sound like a necessity. Every dictatorship has a squealer. You see one on TV every day. You just don't always recognize them. Boxer, the horse. The hardest worker on the farm. His answer to everything, I will work harder. And Napoleon is always right. He's the most lovable character in the book, which is exactly why what happens to him will destroy you. Benjamin, the donkey, sees everything, says nothing. The smartest animal on the farm and the most useless, because knowing the truth and doing nothing about it changes exactly nothing. Molly, the horse who leaves the revolution the moment it becomes uncomfortable. She just wants her ribbons and sugar. The sheep, they don't think, they just say whatever they are told to say, loudly, drowning out anyone trying to have a real conversation. Not evil, just completely switched off. The revolution happens almost by accident. Jones forgets to feed the animals one night. They break in themselves. Jones comes with a whip, and for the first time, the animals fight back. He runs. They chase him off. Just like that, it's done. And for one brief moment, it is beautiful. Every whip destroyed, every chain broken. They all agree, no animal will ever live the way the humans did. We are better than that. They write 7 commandments on the wall. The most important one, all animals are equal. Perfect system, completely alright. Then, almost immediately, the pigs take all the milk for themselves. Small thing, almost nothing. The animals notice but say nothing. And that one tiny moment nobody challenged is where everything begins to collapse. Because every massive corruption in history started exactly like this. One small exception that nobody stopped. Napoleon and Snowball argue constantly. Debates, votes, it almost works. Then one day, mid-speech, Napoleon makes a sound. 9 enormous dogs burst in. Dogs he had secretly raised from puppies, trained, loyal only to him. They chase Snowball off the farm. Nobody sees him again. No more debates. No more votes. Napoleon decides everything now. When animals protest, Squealer appears. Very calm, very quiet. He asks, "Surely you don't want Jones to come back, because that's what happens without strong leadership." Nobody says anything after that. Then the rewriting starts. Snowball, who fought bravely in the revolution, is slowly turned into a traitor, then a spy, then the cause of every single bad thing that happens on the farm. Broken windmill? Snowball. Bad harvest? Snowball. Anything goes wrong? Snowball sneaked in at night. Nobody has seen him in years, but somehow he's responsible for everything. Snowball is the invisible enemy, the threat that justifies every restriction, the name that ends every argument. The commandments start changing at night quietly. No animals shall sleep in a bed becomes no animals shall sleep in a bed with sheets. The pigs moved into the farmhouse. They need it for their brains. Squealer explains it this way. No animal shall drink alcohol becomes no animal shall drink alcohol to excess. Napoleon found whiskey. The next morning, hangover. He announced drinking would be punishable by death. By evening, he felt better and quietly dropped the rule. No animal shall kill any other animal becomes no animal shall kill any other animal without cause. Then the execution stopped. Animals confessing to working with Snowball under very suspicious circumstances and getting killed on the spot while everyone watches. The animals look at the wall and think, wait, did that always say that? Squealer tells them yes, they must be misremembering. They were always bad at reading anyway. This is called gaslighting. Orwell described it perfectly in 1944, and it's happening right now in more places than you think. Through all of this, Boxer works harder than ever. The windmill gets destroyed, Snowball's fault. They rebuild it, it gets blown up, Snowball again. They rebuild it again, every time Boxer, I will work harder. His hooves are cracking, his lungs are failing. He is visibly breaking, but he keeps going. Napoleon is always right. Then, one morning, Boxer collapses, can't get up. Napoleon announces with great sadness that Boxer will be sent to a hospital to recover. A van arrives. The animal wave goodbye. Benjamin, the donkey who never says anything, runs after the van, reads the writing on the side out loud. Alfred Simons, horse slaughter and glue boiler. The animals scream, try to stop it. Too late. Squealer tells later everyone Boxer died peacefully, surrounded by care. Napoleon was at his side. And some animals almost believe it, because the alternative that Napoleon sold the most loyal animal on the farm to be turned into glue is too horrible to accept. Shortly after, the pigs buy a new case of whiskey. By the end, the pigs walk on 2 legs, wear clothes, carry whips, do business with the same humans the revolution was supposed to overthrow. The 7 commandments are gone. One line remains on the wall. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. That sentence, one of the most devastating things ever written, because it's not absurd, it's honest. It's what every unequal system actually believes, just finally written down without pretending. The final scene, the animals look through the farmhouse window, pigs and humans, drinking, laughing, playing cards, and as they look from pig to human, human to pig, they can no longer tell the difference. The revolution is complete, just not the way anyone intended. Now, the part I promised you at the beginning. Before anyone even read this book, governments were already trying to kill it. Orwell finished it in 1944, sent it to many publishers, rejected every time. Not because it was bad, because Britain was allied with the Soviet Union during the war and nobody wanted to upset Stalin. One publisher agreed to print it, then backed out after the government's Ministry of Information made a quiet phone call. A government calling a private publisher. to stop them printing a book about fictional farm animals. If that doesn't prove the book's point, nothing will. It finally came out in August 1945, sold out immediately, 9 million copies by 1973. Then the banning really started. Soviet Union banned immediately. Cuba banned. China banned. Still banned today. Only specific version exists. Russia banned from 1945 until 1980s. North Korea banned. Several African countries banned. And then the UAE banned it too. But not for communism, not for politics, because of the pigs. A book containing pigs was considered offensive to Islamic values. So even the animals caused the problem. And here is the most ironic part of everything. The CIA, the American intelligence agency, secretly bought the film rights in 1954, funded an animated version, and changed the ending, removing the part where the pigs become just like humans, to use it as Cold War propaganda against communism. Think about that. The communists banned it for being too anti-communist. The Americans secretly changed it to make it more useful for their own agenda. Both sides tried to control the same book. Both sides were threatened by it, which means Orwell was dangerous to everyone in power equally. That is the greatest compliment a writer can receive.